So to kick off summer, I decided to get bit by a spider.
Oh, yeah.
And my hand is currently double the size of the other.
It doesn't look good.
It's not great.
It doesn't look great.
It's not great. But it's not like I'm not sure what you do.
Well, we've been debating all day. And I told her to put a baking soda, like, did you do that?
Nope. I will do it when I get home. I have stuff to do.
5 hours ago.
And then I went home and I had to make dinner and do laundry and
things.
And you had to stitch up your kid.
You guys, my oldest child I love her to death. As clumsy as I am, which if you know me in person, I am the clumsiest human ever. The kid ate shit on right when school got out. We were in our friend Amanda's cul-de-sac. She was her grandma's cat.
Grandma's cat.
And poor Amanda. And Kinley fell off of a scooter and
she beefed it
like
hard.
The side of her hip and her elbow. It was really bad.
Then road rash.
Yep. And then today we're down at the creek. We went down to the creek for the kids to get like crawfish or
we got a lot of them.
Yabbies is what they call them in Australia. A yabby.
A yabby?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyways, crawfish. What you guys?
Crawdad,
whatever. And so we don't eat them here, but they just catch them and play with them and put them back.
Yeah.
She fell. We think it was on a rock. We're not.
It had to be because of how much in it was.
It in her knee. And it literally lifted the flap of her knee up. It was bent it under, and it was a lot of flesh, a lot of blood.
Of course, Raina couldn't deal with this, so she's like, "Meg, can you look at it?"
No, so wait, let me be clear on this. I am strong for my kids. I will never be one of those moms that lets my kids think that I'm afraid of something because then they're afraid of anything. I'm just so I looked at it and I was like, oh, because I do not do well with blood. And I stand up and I turn my back to her and I look at Meg and I was like, can you look at it, please? I was like, someone else. Because I want, and it's that it was bad.
And poor Kinley's like, okay, Meg, I don't mean anything by this, but can you please stop moving it? I'm like, I'm just making sure there's no rocks in it.
Well, that's what I was like. That was what made you look at it because I need you to see if there's rocks in it.
There were not rocks in it.
I was like, looking at it is one thing. Looking under the flap because it was a flap. It wasn't. You guys, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And
she's fine. She's fine. She will be fine. Banger start. And then I had my little one have that massive bloody nose last week. We're doing great over here.
We're doing great. Your little one almost, died by my dog today too.
Oh, yeah. Dog clotheslined her right on the rocks.
Clotheslined her with her leash. We had her down at the creek with us and we had her tied to a tree and she ran and caught Meg's youngest in the leash.
And Raina and I are both
But we're in knee-high water, so it's hard to get there.
To get to her. She's fine.
She was totally
fine. Not even a scratch, which I thought she'd at least have gotten scratched by the rocks. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. No, she was fine. It just scared everyone more than anything. But then Jandis went home after that. I was like, you're done.
Done.
You're done.
Done. All right, you got a joke?
I do, because it was funny because Meg got here and it's just been a chaos afternoon, evening. And I was like, shoot, I don't have a joke. And I looked at my phone and Mr. Boo Boo had sent me a joke.
Beautiful. Excellent time.
While he was out running errands.
Uh-oh.
He sent me another one. The other one.
Well, I'm thinking you're going to have to do that one that you just had that reaction to.
It was so good because I said, this one's for Meg. And then when I read it, I'm like, okay. Why did the squirrel swim on its back?
Oh, no, it's a squirrel joke. I don't know.
To keep its nuts dry. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Oh my God, so good.
Oh man. Well, hello and welcome to Lunatic Soup, the podcast where we go into all things wild, weird, and unknown. We're your host, Meg.
And I'm Raina, ready to brew up some Lunatic Soup.
Forgot that one there. Let's go.
I squirreled out for a minute.
I've called a brain fart.
I was responding to text and I was like, that joke was amazing. And as you did the intro, and then I was like,
what? My turn.
Where am I? Outer space.
All right, so today we have, this one's from Shannon.
Yeah, this was flown in from Hawaii. Last year, she sent it or brought it to us. And it's been in my fridge since we had it before on the show, I think. It's not expired.
1/13/2003.
23?
Uh-huh.
Let's try it.
We're gonna try it. It's fine.
4/13. We hadn't even started the podcast by the time this says. Maybe that was its made date, not expiration date.
I don't know. Does canned cider have an expiration date?
I doubt it. Maybe that was the date it was made because it says like 1048.
The cold feels good on my spider bite.
I told her, you guys, that if it doesn't get better by tomorrow, she needs to go to a doctor. So I tried.
As long as I don't start like, the spider webbing into my vein, it should be fine.
Well, we were a little worried about that, but. Okay,
all right. It's
what are we drinking?
Ace Guava Craft Cider.
Yes, Ace.
We've had Ace before.
We have, and they do a good pint.
It doesn't smell rancid. It's fine.
I think it's fine. But guava, which I love guava.
Ooh, it's a nice peachy color. I always look at the color. The color means a lot.
It does.
It's a lot.
Last week's we had a really pretty 2 weeks ago.
I
don't know when it was.
Really deep rosy.
The one from Scotland.
Yeah.
That one was pretty. I was listening to that episode this morning in the car, and then my child was making fun of your laugh.
I mean, get in line, kid.
But it wasn't your normal laugh. It was like one that you randomly did. It sounded like a witch's laugh. You're like, hee, like, and Leia was like, why is she laughing like that? And I was like, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Oh, it's guava.
It's very guava.
I love guava.
It's a little sweet, but it's good. Do you have lime? Yeah, you do. Of course you do.
Sour slut, that bitch.
Yeah, it's very sweet. It's only 5%.
Yeah.
Yep. 5%.
Good behavior. Good behavior kind of day.
Well, this is a long one, guys. This might be a two-parter. A two-parter. So we will see as we're going how far we get. My normal when I write the show notes, it's like 6 or 7 pages, right? This one's 14.
Holy balls.
So there's a lot. We're covering a lot of the paranormal umbrella here.
Yeah, which I'm excited about because I've heard of this story, but I don't feel like I've heard the different angles that you have thrown out there to me about this.
We're going to talk about the story, and then we're going to kind of move on to some of the reasons why. We're going to go into a cryptid reason, and then we're kind of going to go into conspiracy reasons, and then we're going to discuss.
See what else might be out there.
Yeah.
All right.
So today we are talking about the Dyatlov Pass incident, possibly Yeti.
Possibly.
Yes, the Yeti incident. Oh, I want to try it with this.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even just try the sour slut.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, it mellows that sweetness quite a bit.
Damn, I like that.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
We have Ace here at the stores, right?
It's usually pineapple is like a standard one that we get.
Oh, okay.
Well, not you and I, but like when but Ace is usually at like a standard restaurant bar.
Oh, okay.
In pineapple flavor, but
see, I don't like pineapple.
I know you don't.
I like pineapple with other things, but any hoodles.
I like guava. It reminds me of Hawaii.
So. Guava. Mm-hmm. All right, so the Dyatlov Pass incident is an event where 9 people died in the northern Ural Mountains sometime between February 1st and 2nd in 1959. No one is quite sure how these victims died. The victims were all from the Soviet Union, and within the deaths, there were 7 men and 2 women. There was a 10th hiker, but he got sick on the journey and turned back to January 28th.
Lucky man.
Yeah. The group was from Ural Polytechnical Institute and was led by Igor Dyatlov. They had established a camp on the eastern side of the... There's a lot of Russian names in this. I'm going to do my best.
I think that's all you can do.
Just don't at me.
And like usual, if you think we've messed up, you could tell us or you could just deal with it.
So in 1959, the group was formed by Igor Dyatlov.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for a skiing expedition. Igor, who was 23 years old, he was a radio engineer from the Polytechnical Institute, and he put the group together with other students from the university. Each member of the group was an experienced grade 2 hiker and certified ski instructor.
Oh, dang.
At the time, the Soviet Union, the highest certification in the Soviet Union was a grade 3. So they were all extremely skilled here, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like you and I hiking up Mount Rainier.
Whoa.
I mean, the amount of times that I said I'm going to hike up Mount Rainier and my friend Sherry just yells at me.
What if I was a skilled hiker and you just didn't know it?
I've asked you to go hiking about 37 times.
Oh, yeah. I don't like it.
You said you don't like it, and you said you can't with your knees.
Which I can't. That's true.
So
I'm also not a skilled hiker in any way, shape, or form. The fuck no.
I made a guess.
It was a solid guess. I just don't like being put in a box. I'm sorry.
How
dare you?
I open that lid and fly, baby.
Don't make assumptions, Meg.
I will not make assumptions.
About everything you know about me, you're not allowed to make assumptions
Correct.
like that.
Never again.
Because what if I just had that in my like back pocket of like tricks I was going to pull out? Like I'm a skilled survivalist.
Survivalist? You can, circumvent those crevasses.
Yeah, I watch enough Alone. I feel like, that show Alone.
Great show.
I know it just started a new season, by the way.
Did it?
We just watched the first episode last night.
You know what my favorite show on like Discovery and stuff is?
What?
Is Deadliest Catch.
Oh,
Just
I love
having that
Deadliest
on in the
Catch.
background
Yeah,
is
solid.
like, it's just like a comfort show.
But you don't even eat the crabs.
No,
Sad.
I can't. Blow
Sad.
up like a balloon.
I think it's false. I'm going to test it one day, just find out.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Let's do that. Let's see.
Let's not. I'm just kidding. No, but I do. I've always loved Deadliest Catch. Like since it came on, it's one of those I've watched. Like I don't religiously watch it anymore, but if it's on or if I need background, like turn it on.
It's a background show. When you had your husband's birthday party, that first night we really hung out, one of the ships was in that. Yeah.
Which one was it? It was
The Maria.
I don't remember.
Any-
I remember.
I took a picture of it
Yeah.
and I sent it to my husband.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the boats was there. Because they live here.
I know that. What's his face? The
Sig.
Sig. Yeah, he lives up north of Seattle.
Yeah. Like with his family and everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, a lot of them are Seattle area folk.
Folk.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go up and get their votes.
No, thank you.
Mm-mm.
I had it on background the other day, and it was one of the episodes where like one of Sig's friends was lost at sea, and it was like from a bunch of seasons ago.
Oh my gosh.
But it was just, God, it's heartbreaking. Those things are just,
It's a lot. Like it's a whole other life.
yeah.
It's a whole
for
other
sure.
life. The Dyatlov group submitted their planned route, which the goal was to reach the Otterton Mountain, which is on the north side of the site where the hikers were all found. So they didn't quite make it. The route was a category 3 and was done in February in Russia.
So it's like cold.
It's like the worst possible time to go hiking in Russia.
Freeze your tits off.
Like I remember, I think it was sophomore year, we had in my social studies class, we had a test. And the one thing my teacher kept saying is never invade Russia in the winter. Never invade Russia in the winter because the Nazis tried that.
Yep.
And it did not go well. And I remember on the test, it was like, what should never happen? And each answer was never invade Russia in the winter.
I mean,
and it stuck with me. Like, just don't go to Russia in the winter.
I mean, that's wild that that's like actually on your tests. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean,
And it stuck with me all these years.
I just feel like from Stranger Things when they go over to Russia and it's like so cold, like is where and I feel like I obviously know that Russia's very cold in the winter. You see it on different documentaries or whatever, but like, damn.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
The route was approved by the Tverdyashk City Route Commission.
That sounds right.
No idea. Swarovski? I don't know. They began their journey on January 23rd, 1959. They took the train to Ivdel, which is in the center of the northern province of, Girdlishk.
Let me see it.
Oblast.
I just want to see. Skirlishk.
Yeah.
Skirlishk.
Excuse you.
Sounds about right.
One hiker, Yuri Yudin, had some health issues and was unable to really go on the hike, so he turned back. All seemed to be going really well. And how do we know this? We have diaries and cameras found from the campsite.
Wow.
They recorded everything.
So like video, was there video? This is
It wasn't video, but they had some nice cameras for the time. The cameras would have cost about $5,000 each.
Nice.
So they had some nice
I
cameras.
feel like if they're going on this expedition, like I feel like it's a standard thing for people who like explore like this or do whatever to be photographers of some kind, as well as, you got to document a journey.
And they documented it. And we have like so much of this journey was documented up until the time of the incident, obviously. But that also paints a story of the journey.
Okay.
And gives us hints to the journey. On January 31st, the group arrived at the location of their ascent up the mountain. They cached some food and supplies for their journey back. So they like hid some food and supplies so that when they came back down, they'd have stuff to keep
not
going.
as heavy carrying it up.
Not as heavy carrying it up. And then the following morning on February 1st, they began their ascent. The weather conditions were terrible. A snowstorm came into the mountains, and because their visibility had decreased, they veered off course, heading west, more west than they anticipated.
Okay.
So they weren't on the path that they and the government knew they were on.
Okay.
Like, that's how big of a hike this was. They had to get their route approved.
Damn.
Like, it's kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I just go for a hike.
Yeah.
You know?
I go
Do
for
you? Do you just go?
I walk up my stairs. I do. It's crazy. I don't have to get approval from anyone.
You
for
don't
that.
have to?
It's pretty.
I'm going on a hike next month with my dad. It's up Mount Rainier.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I did it once as a kid.
Skyline.
Oh.
It's the Skyline
Probably
Trail.
didn't do that.
It's one of my favorites. It's so beautiful. You're going up there, and the only thing I can think of is I am traversing Mount Doom, because that's what it looks like up there. It's like all rocky.
What movie?
Lord of the Rings, Raina.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Just got to bring the ring back.
I stupidly asked
You,
that
you
question.
really did. You
Fuck.
really did.
Really fucked that up. Should have just known. No, I'm not a hiker nor a walker nor a my kneecaps dislocate. I
That's
can't.
not great.
It doesn't feel good either.
No.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting until insurance approves me to get a knee replacement.
You're too young for that.
Yeah, no shit. So they won't.
That's why they won't give you one.
Yep.
But you need it.
Well, I can't do a lot of exercise, so
Your knees need it.
my life does.
Well, yeah, that's just. They realized that they were going the wrong way and decided to just set up camp on the slope of the mountain, wait for the storm to pass, and then continue on. They could have headed back down the mountain to a wooded area, which would have been kind of a safer bet. It was about a mile away, but Yuri, who had turned back, was asked why they didn't do that, and he said that Dyatlov most likely didn't want to lose any altitude that they had gained.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Like, because when you're hiking, it's
But you're also in a blizzard.
yeah. But you have to think people are crazy sometimes. They don't give a fuck. Like, I feel like people don't use their best judgment at times.
There's people that hike up those mountains and literally set up camp on like stone.
Mm-hmm.
No thanks.
No, well, yeah, that's
Like,
why.
no,
Yeah,
no.
that's also why I would never do that, because no.
See, I really like hiking. I do not like sleeping in a tent.
Mm,
I do not like sleeping in a tent at all.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I don't like either.
Yeah.
So you
I
catch me in a tent, never.
I tried to convince my friend, let's go up Mount Rainier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's supposed to be like 18 hours there and back. I'm like, we can do it in one day. Like, no, you're supposed to camp. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to go up and I want to come back down. I'll hike for 18 hours. My friend did the burrows
I
think it took her 18 hours.
I have a friend who literally did the whole like massive hike, and they had to like carry their pee and poop in and out.
No thanks.
You have to like literally, it's like, oh, you can't leave anything. And they camped, and it was like, and this is Mount Rainier. It didn't seem like fun to me. This sounded like and I was like, go you.
See, I don't want to do that part.
No, it sounded horrible. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
That's why you do it all in one shot.
Or don't.
Yeah, you just go.
Get the hell.
I have.
Take me to the top.
What's that thing? That trend that says I have the I think I can do anything gene. And it's true. I know. You say let's go hike up Mount Rainier tomorrow. Let's go.
I have that gene when it comes to like crafts and stuff, like that side of not the physical ability. I know my limitations.
I keep trying to get my friend Cherry to go hiking with me, and we did Skyline a couple of years ago, and she loved it, but she yelled at me the entire time because she's literally like half my height.
Yeah, she's not very tall.
In fact, we measured our legs. I'm like, you're not that much shorter than me. My hip bone comes up to her chest.
To get a little bigger stride.
A bigger stride.
That's like so. When Tex makes fun of me he's like, you can never keep up with me, and I'm like, your strides are like twice what mine are. Like,
slow down.
I cannot.
Yeah, Cherry loves hiking with me, but doesn't because I go fast. Apparently,
you won't catch me hiking. You could barely even get me to go for a walk with you. You did it,
but I have
a
few times,
and then you gave up. Finally,
I mean,
I bitched enough, and my knees fuck up, and then you realized you're like, oh no, this bitch can't move.
I mean. Mm-hmm. I saw how you were the days after. So
that's not good. Even going for a walk.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. So how did we know that they went missing? Before they left, Dyatlov told the sports club that he would send a telegram no later than February 12th when they arrived back to the city at the base of the mountain. However, when Yuri left the expedition, Dyatlov told him that it would probably be a little bit longer than that once they actually got on the mountain, saw things. So February 12th came and went. No one thought much of it because he had told Yuri that just
it'll be a
hold
bit
off,
longer.
hold off. And it was common in that time to have delays because this was all by telegram. They didn't have a cell phone. They didn't
telegram.
It was all by telegram.
Wild.
One step away from the Pony Express.
Literally.
And so communication, it wasn't instant. It took a while. February 20th came and there was still no word. The hikers' relatives were now getting upset and demanded that rescue hikers head up the mountain to find them. Government didn't do anything at this point.
Okay.
It was the university that put a group together and sent students, teachers, volunteers up to find the missing hikers.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Eventually, the police did become involved because they still couldn't find him, and they brought in helicopters and planes to join in the search. On February 26th, remember,
damn,
this was February 1st that they didn't know this at the time, but the incident happened February 1st or 2nd. They were supposed to check in February 12th. Now we're at February 26th. That's my birthday.
Oh.
That's my birthday.
That's your birthday.
That's my birthday. Not a good day to remember for this one. But on February 26th, the searchers found the Dyatlov group's campsite, and their tent had been badly damaged. It was ripped to shreds. The students who found the tent was quoted saying, the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind.
That's the part that has always messed with me for this thing, the shoes.
Their shoes, remember, these are extremely, I'm going to keep saying it, they were experienced hikers.
Their shoes were left behind.
Their shoes were left behind. And the tent had been cut open from the inside. It was a cut, like with a straight edge. It was cut. It wasn't torn open. It was cut open from the inside.
Okay.
Investigators saw 9 sets of footprints leading away from the tent down towards the tree lines. Remember, they were in like a clearing here, away from the tree line. Footprints were either barefoot or with socks. One had one shoe on.
Okay.
Okay. So this is where we're painting a picture here. They followed the tracks, which was amazing that they were still visible at this time.
It just shows how cold it was. And
right. Everything just froze. Once they began to get to the tree line, though, the tracks did become covered in snow because the snow falls from the trees and stuff like that. And so they were no longer visible. So the hikers, the search party just continued to just kind of search what they could. Right at the forest edge, they found the remains of a small fire. So that tells them that they got to the forest and they started a small fire.
Okay.
Beside the fire were the first 2 recovered hikers, Krivonchenko and Doroshenko. I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best.
Crushing it.
The hikers were shoeless and dressed only in their underwear.
Okay.
They noted that the branches on the surrounding trees were all broken, indicating that the hikers climbed the trees. Either they were looking for something, they were trying to camp up there, they were trying to get away from something.
Yeah.
Investigators continued searching towards the camp in the woods and found 3 more hikers. Dyatlov, Kolmogorova,
good job,
Slobodin.
Okay.
They died in poses that suggest they were reaching for the tent, like with their arms stretched out.
The tent, though, that was like far away?
Yeah, like they were reaching that way. They were trying to go towards that area.
Okay.
They did not find any more hikers for 2 more months. On May 4th, under about 13 feet of snow in a ravine in the woods, they found the remaining hikers. The remaining hikers looked like they had been placed there because they were stacked on top of each other.
Okay.
It was apparent that 3 of the 4 newly discovered hikers were wearing more clothing than the others, and there was also evidence that some of the clothing had been possibly taken off the other hikers and put on them, indicating that the other hikers had passed, and the ones who were still alive took the clothes off of them to try to keep themselves warm. The initial hikers that were found, their families created a legal inquest as to what could have happened. The bodies discovered first were brought to the medical examiner, and there was no significant injury found. One hiker had a small crack in his skull, but it wasn't fatal. Like, that could happen, a small crack. The deaths for these hikers were found to be hypothermia. In May, however, things changed. 3 of the 4 hikers found had fatal injuries. Thibault? Look at that one. Thibault?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thibault Ronolies, I'm sure that's exactly how it's said, had major skull damage, and Zolotrov and Dubinia had major chest fractures.
Huh.
According to experts, the force that would have been needed to cause these types of fractures would be extremely high, such as a car accident. The external bodies had no visible injuries, suggesting that the wounds were caused by high pressure.
Huh.
So what are we thinking so far?
I don't know. Well, high pressure, could that be like a fall?
But there was no external injuries.
Okay.
Like, you'd think if there was a fall, there'd be like...
No, there would be.
Massive bruising.
Yeah. And like, yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, I don't know what I'm thinking.
You can see pictures of the bodies.
I don't want to.
You can go online because they're still like researching this. You can see the injuries and...
But that's, I mean, I feel like that's why this is such a wild case, is because it's like, it doesn't make sense. Okay.
The 4 bodies found at the bottom of the ravine had soft tissue damage. What does that mean, Raina?
Means they're like outside, like the fatty was damaged, the exodermis, the epidermis.
Dubinia was missing her tongue.
That's not what I thought.
Her eyes and part of her lips, and also some parts of her skull were missing. Zolotaryov was missing his eyeballs, and Kolatov had his eyebrows taken off. Experts say that these injuries happened post-mortem.
Could it have been animals?
Could be.
Seems odd to just go after those specific areas, but okay.
I mean, they couldn't have like decomposed because it was too cold. Everything was frozen.
So maybe their rest one was too frozen, so the soft tissue was the only thing they could get.
I think they would have been able to know that, though. They would have been able to see like gnaw marks, right?
I would think.
I know, guys, we're talking about like gruesome stuff here, and we're not like a crime podcast. I promise this is going to tie in.
Yeah. Well, I will too. Oh my God. I feel like I've had enough blood, guts, and gore today, Megan.
I mean, it's true.
Huh.
It's true.
AKA just my child hurting her knee, but still, that's a lot for me.
In these mountains, there are native people known as the Mansi people, and they are reindeer herders. At first, they wondered if maybe the Mansi had something to do with it, with the deaths, because of the severity, and maybe the hikers were like on their land.
Yeah.
Like they thought maybe this was something that another person did. But after they interrogated a lot of the Mansi people, it was determined that they had nothing to do with it. In fact, there was record of the Mansi people aiding the hikers in the first part of their journey. This was also not supported because the only footprints were that of the hikers.
Right.
There would have been sign of a struggle. There would have been scuffs in the woods. You know, there was none of that. They would have seen more footprints than just what they saw.
Yeah.
The hikers were only partially dressed, no shoes or socks, and it was -13 to -22 degrees outside.
I think that is like the two things that right away are the red flags is the cutting from the inside of the tent.
Right.
So that would mean the tent got stuck in some capacity. Okay. But they had to get out for some reason.
Right.
So let's say it was too cold. They were like, we need to find more cover, make a fire.
Okay.
We are stuck. We have to cut our way out. Okay. But why the fuck are you leaving without shoes?
They would have gotten all suited up at that point.
Yeah.
They would have,
like, if they are experienced hikers, they would have had to be.
They had their stuff with them. Like, it's not like they didn't have their stuff with them.
Like, what do you mean with them?
Well, like they had the stuff to keep them warm. They had their supplies.
They were led up in the tent.
But they were left.
And that's what, or like someone with one shoe on.
Yeah.
One shoe.
Yeah. Some had socks on, some didn't.
That makes 0 sense.
And like, again, I'm going to reiterate over and over again, they were experienced hikers. They were not new at this. They knew
Wasn't
what
like
they were doing.
me actually going up there.
So here's an overview of everything that had been discovered. 6 of the group members died from hypothermia and 3 of fatal injuries. There were no indications of other people nearby apart from these 9 travelers. The tent had been ripped open from within. The victims had died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal. Traces from the camp showed that all group members left the campsite of their own accord on foot. Now, there was some level of radiation found on the victims' clothing. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Also interesting that they would test for that.
Right? Interesting.
Suspicious.
And to dispel the theory that the indigenous Mansai people attacked, I'm not even going to try to say that name. Somebody interviewed stated that the fatal injuries of the 3 bodies could not have been caused by human beings, quote, because the force of the blows had been too strong and no soft tissue damaged, meaning the outside tissue, not the eyes, that stuff. Like there wasn't the big bruising and stuff that you would see.
Exterior damage.
Released documents contained no information about the conditions of the skiers' internal organ.
Okay.
And there were no survivors. So that's what we know so far. Remember, they found all their cameras and journals, right? Photos of what they had found were strange. They took them all down and they started developing. Inside the tent, they found boots, jackets, and all of their survival equipment. And the tent not only was cut from the inside out, there was long ribs, but there were also like peepholes. There was like little holes at eye level.
Huh.
So they were looking outside of the tent at something. They found 4 cameras around the abandoned hiking equipment, and they developed a film and pretty much told a story of the hike.
Okay.
At first, everybody was very happy. It was a happy scene. You can look up these photos. They're very, very good. I'm going to have you Google Dyatlov Pass photo 17.
Oh, my God. How do I spell that? D-Y?
Dyatlov. Just Google and put your phone down. Okay.
Okay.
So back to the Mansai people. They had been in the area for thousands of years, and they named the mountain. The name of the mountain literally means don't go there.
Uh-oh.
The route the hikers took was a Mansi, sacred site.
Uh-oh.
And it was considered forbidden territory. The Mansi people believed that there is a beast residing in this territory known as the Yeti.
Always trust the native people, y'all.
For thousands of years, they have told a story of a large, wild, hairy creature that they believe lives in that area. Now, a Yeti has been described by native populations around the world for centuries. We've talked about this. It's said to be a beast covered in hair, walks upright, and stands over 7 feet tall. That is pretty much standard. That is standard. Something that the creature... Some think that the creature is part human and part ape, while others believe that it is an early human species that has somehow survived. We believe that it is an intergalactical...
Dimensional. Galactical.
Sounds better.
A being that can go between places.
Right. Mm-hmm. But it still could be an ancient creature that's been here forever.
Still also could be an alien. Just a furry.
Not saying it was aliens, but...
Well, I already have
it was
I already have my theories that like if it was actually like a beast or something that there'd be more physical outside damage than there was. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do hear what you're saying.
Like if it was really something that like killed you, like killed them,
you would be like outside.
Yeah,
but we're gonna go into some theories about what could have happened.
Okay, all right. I will shut my pie hole.
Some places call the Yeti different things. In the Himalayas, it's the Yeti or the Migu. In Russia, they call it the Almasi, which I'd never heard that before. And that's in the language of the Mansi people or the native people to the Ural Mountains. They also call it Menk.
Menk?
M-E-N-K. Menk.
Never heard that.
We call it Bigfoot.
Yes.
Okay. In Canada, they call it a Yeti. No, Sasquatch. Sorry. Canada is Sasquatch. It's all basically the same.
What do they call it in Australia? It's something there too. A yowie.
A yowie.
Yeah.
See, but like different parts of the world that didn't even know other places existed.
I'm just saying that if every place has something that is described the same and they call it different things, but it's all made up, I don't know that I believe that. You know, I mean, I believe that it's real because if everyone has the same things, just saying.
Right.
It looks like a duck. It quacks like a duck. It's probably
a duck. Quack.
Or a platypus. You never know. I've never heard a platypus. Seen one, never heard it.
It is important to note that while cultures all over the world have an ape-like creature, the Menk seems a bit different. It's more aggressive and dangerous. They say that it's very fast, very vicious, and the Mansi people often find deer and other wildlife dead with their eyes gouged out and tongues removed.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
The Yeti can take so many forms that some people believe that they are a set of creatures that cultures all believe in. Like it's an actual species that just is all over the world, like a bird.
Yeah. That, like what we were saying.
Yeah. They've been seen in centuries. They've been seen for centuries and are deeply embedded in folklore.
Yeah.
Perhaps they were once a well-known species that used to exist.
Could be.
Yeah. And now we just don't know because we've had it taken from us.
Or they won't let us know.
They won't let us know.
Just saying.
I want to see a Bigfoot, though.
I mean, I'd love to see one.
I don't think they're as bad in Oogie Boogie as some people say.
I feel like if they were as bad in Oogie Boogie as what some people say, we would hear a lot more about like horrible things happening.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as elusive.
No, 1,000%.
And have you ever known anybody to die by a Bigfoot?
I'm not personally.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys maybe.
Maybe, but that's like the Russian Bigfoot, so maybe it's just meaner.
Could be.
Maybe I
got
into the vodka. Just saying.
Could be.
You never know.
Could be.
There's a lot of vodka over there.
Some people see the connection, obviously, to the North American Bigfoot Sasquatch.
Yeah.
They are both ape-like creatures. They are over 7 feet tall and covered in hair. They both said to walk on 2 legs. And when the creature is provoked, it can become very aggressive and territorial.
Yes. But again, like I don't feel
the aggressive part.
I feel like if we really thought Bigfoot was aggressive here, we don't hear enough stories. Like you hear the occasional one about like people camping and things happen.
I hear it mostly.
But no one's ever like actually attacked. Like physically attacked. And if they are, maybe they didn't live, like I feel like we would, or it was like this insane murder in the mountains that they were like,
or is it covered up by like a cougar attack or a bear attack?
I mean, that is possible. That is very possible that they cover it up and say it was something else, or
if the man knows
part of all the missing people things.
Oh yeah, because there's that whole theory of the missing people in the state park
and the national parks. There's that. Which I know there's a lot of theories on with that.
Yeah, but there's like alien theories and all sorts.
But what if that was all like true? If it was everything, they just put all the cryptids in one spot and said, you're not allowed to go out of here. Otherwise, we're going to kill your ass. And then they don't. And then everyone dies in those places only. Just saying, never say never.
Never say never. I mean, at this point, nothing would surprise me.
Nothing would surprise me. I think that is the hardest part about all of it is like
nothing surprises.
I can be like, I don't think it's that. I don't think Bigfoot's aggressive. But I don't fucking know.
No.
I mean, obviously it could also not be real, but I do think it's real. So
I want to believe in Bigfoot bad. I think that's the most cryptid that I believe in.
I don't think there's a part of me that doubts it, to be honest.
Really? I'm always slightly skeptical of everything.
I'm not. I am gullible as fuck. I will admit that. That's fine.
It's fine. It is what it is.
It's easier to just believe in everything and then occasionally get duped.
There you go. The Mansi people have a set rules to try and prevent an attack on humans from the Yeti. On this trail that the Dyatlov hikers took, on the trees, there's carved warning signs from the Mansi people letting hikers know that the Yeti is in this area and they must respect the boundaries of the creature. So these native people know that this thing is here and they've put warning signs throughout. Like there's pictures of it carved in the trees.
I'm just going to say, if the native people are saying it's there, it means they've witnessed it.
It means they know.
They know.
It said that Dyatlov was unknowingly leading his team into the heart of Yeti territory.
Not good.
But he knew because the Mansi people told him, but he didn't.
He probably just didn't believe or care. He probably thought it was like folklore.
So back to the photographs and journal entries, you can see the tone starting to change about halfway through.
Okay.
Some of the photos, like at first it was like happy and fun and everybody was smiling. And then like it became more solemn. No, more quiet. And that could be because they were getting tired. They were cold.
Well, yeah.
It was the elements. But there was a lot of photos taken of the wood line at this point, as if they were trying to capture something in the trees. Because at first it was all them. And then it was more like the tree line.
Right.
Like I said before, the ravine earlier, this is when they thought, it looks like these people may have been put there because the bodies were stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Of one of the injuries of a hiker, the examiner said it was as if he had been hugged so tightly that he burst. Like his insides burst.
I don't like that.
Another body was found to have its internal organs squished and bones crushed as if he had been thrown at a great velocity at a tree. These were the bodies in the ravines. The youngest hiker had her tongue ripped out while she was still alive. And they know this because she had a liter of blood in her stomach.
Okay.
So that dispels the animal theory. Like that an animal took it out.
Yeah.
So all the hikers we already found died of hypothermia or blunt force trauma. The bodies were sent back to their people, to their village.
Yeah.
And they had a public burial. And there's pictures of it. This is where you can see pictures of the burial. There are people that were at these, because like a ton of people came out. About 1,000 people attended this funeral because the mystery was so great. They had no idea what happened to these hikers. News of the death spread all over Russia and the entire world. No one knew what happened to the hikers. The injuries suggested some sort of violent attack, but they couldn't find proof of anything.
Wild.
Back to taking, the Mansi people out of the equation. They helped the government find the bodies. They joined the search party on their way up the mountain.
Yeah.
So the Mansi people told the authorities that the mink or the Yeti was responsible for these attacks.
Yeah.
Most believe that these are myths and fantasy, but these indigenous cultures still fully believe in these creatures.
Yeah.
A few months into the investigation, the Soviet government closed the case on the deaths. They knew something strange had happened, and they did not want the whole world to put attention to it.
That's when you know it's bad, is when the fucking government steps in and they're like,
nope, we're good.
No, it's fine. It just, we figured it out. They all died of hypothermia. Everyone shut your eyeballs and your ears. You didn't hear anything.
Well, an official report from the government said that an unknown force was responsible for the death. So they didn't even say that. They didn't even put a blanket over it and say hypothermia.
They said something unknown caused it.
Unknown force. In 2013, a Russian journalist found and interviewed one of the original investigators who worked on the case. The most interesting fact of this story is that at some point, high-ranking authorities in Moscow ordered the investigation to be closed. Right? So they were working on it. They were diligent. And as a high-ranking authority in Moscow said, nope, put unknown force, you're done. And then all of those people who were working on the case, they couldn't work on it anymore. Everything was taken away. The family members obviously got pretty angry.
Obviously.
And they wanted more, but they was refused. They were not going to reopen the case. Now in 2019, that's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Public pressure from the descendants of the students and the media won out, and the government opened a new investigation on the Dyatlov incident and released a 400-page outline of the case with a new official conclusion. They said that the team died of an avalanche.
Bullshit.
That's what they're saying. It's an avalanche.
Why are they barefoot?
However, I mean, if they heard it coming, say they heard the avalanche coming, okay? Because it's a loud roar, and they were trying to outrun it.
Do you want to hear something insane?
What?
My grandfather was caught in an avalanche. My mom's dad, and he lived.
Was he fully buried? Where was it?
I think Utah, but I could actually be wrong on that. I'll have to ask the full story, but yeah, he lived. There is I've heard the story so many times. I should actually know it, but yeah, real life. He was caught in an avalanche and survived.
That's terrifying. Being buried alive. That's terrifying. I don't like that.
Is that? But they normally you just die. Like it's
Well,
very
you're
rare.
very like either you're crushed or you suffocate.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those dogs that will like dig you out? Like they're trained to go up on avalanche and they dig you out.
All of my cousins, like who ski and snowboard regularly, they all have avalanche like things on them when they ski and all of that because they are. I mean, they know people. Like they actually know quite a few people who have died in avalanches because they're in the ski industry. It's like what you do. It's like you're out there. Like And my uncle like trained a bunch of very big skiers for like the U.S. ski team and the Olympics and stuff, and they know a few people who have passed away from it. It's kind of terrifying, but
that's crazy. So one of the leading Russian forensic psychologists reviewed all of the findings of the new report and disagreed that an avalanche could have caused these types of injuries. None of them had injuries that could have been caused by avalanche, such as he said that snow is very abrasive and would have caused like scratching or like almost like road rash on the skin. And none of that was seen.
But wouldn't snow still be on them? They'd be literally buried.
Right, because it was still February, March, April. So there was like, but when they found the bodies, it was either in February, March, or April. No, February and April.
But yeah, the first bodies were found right away, though, weren't they?
And they would have been buried.
And then how would there be footprints?
Yeah.
Everything would have been they would have been buried.
They would have been buried.
I know enough I've seen a lot of avalanches and...
Well, no, that's correct. Like there wouldn't be no footprints if there had been an avalanche.
I just said to my mom, wasn't granddaddy, it's her dad, in an avalanche. Yes, buried to his neck, if I recall correctly. But her sister knows the rest of the details.
Oh, man.
So maybe he wasn't fully under, but...
To his neck.
But I know that when you do, you're supposed to like punch out to try and get pockets of air. I know I've been told that. Wild.
I'm just going to say no.
Yeah, well, yeah, hard no. No, thank you. But yeah. But the avalanche theory makes zero sense. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, they're just trying to like...
And let's say you get like, swept off of a thing, you're still like blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
Like, you're going blunt force trauma to...
Which could... Well, no, because then you'd have the abrasions from the snow. Because they said it was a trauma that killed some of the hikers, like blunt force trauma. But there would be external injuries with that.
Even more, but like the people like reaching for a tent, that makes zero sense for an avalanche. They'd all be buried if it was an avalanche.
They'd all be buried. They wouldn't have been found within the first couple of months. They'd have to wait for things to melt.
Maybe someone else who's it's like I know people who would know this. I do. Maybe I'll ask their opinions later. If Tyndall or Asia are listening, let me know. But
I don't think avalanche.
No.
The forensic psychologist also states that the injuries were not caused by animals, like I said, because there was no bite marks or scratches.
Also, like what? An avalanche is going to take out your eyeballs and your tongue while you're alive?
Rip out your tongue. Sorry, rip out your tongue while you're alive. Rip off your eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like,
what the fuck?
Come on.
Yeah.
So the injuries were caused by force, but the forensic psychologist was puzzled, especially by the youngest of the group. He said her second, third, fourth, and fifth ribs were fractured, and her heart had exploded.
Okay.
What could cause all of this?
I mean, something significant.
Something really significant. So he suggested that the hikers were aware that they were being, quote, hunted based on the record of them going off the path that they had routed and going along the ridge instead of covered by trees. They were experienced. They knew that being covered by trees would have offered more protection. This suggested that they were trying to stay away from the tree line, even though it offered protection. Remember how they said that the snowstorm had them veer off track? What if it didn't? What if they veered off track intentionally?
Yeah.
And then got caught in a storm?
Okay.
But if there was a storm, they would have stayed in the tree line.
Yeah.
Or gone back down.
Unless there was something worse in the tree line.
Could be. Then we talked about the small cuts at eye level. It was almost as if they were making peepholes to look outside to see what was around them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The footprints of the hikers were in all different directions. So they weren't even all going the same way. So they all bolted.
Okay. So they're running from something or to somewhere or...
On the camera roll, one of the last photos the hikers took offers our biggest hint. And this is known as photo 17, which you look up on your little phone there, photo 17, and describe it for our listeners.
That's I think it's a Yeti.
So it's looking at the tree line. And we said there was a lot of pictures looking towards the tree line, right?
That's something.
What does it look like?
A Yeti.
It looks like a Yeti peering behind a tree, right?
Or a Bigfoot.
Like, it looks like a large creature. And based on these trees, because they knew where these trees were, right?
Mm-hmm.
That creature in that photo is said to be over 7 feet tall. It looks like a very large, muscular creature.
Yep.
Standing, almost kind of peering out from around a tree. And it looks like if anybody were to see this picture, you would say, oh, that's Bigfoot.
Okay, this is not a creature peering out from. It's standing in front of them.
It's standing there. Like it was coming from the tree line.
Yes. That.
They don't know what that is. It's not one of the hikers. Now, could you say, like, zoom in, could you say it's wearing a bunch of winter clothing?
No.
It looks like a hairy. It is somewhat blurry, which suggests that they took the picture quickly. Remember, this is 1959.
Yeah, and I could give you a bunch of photography reasons why it's blurry. First of all, like, they didn't have autofocus back then.
Right. So if they were taking a picture fast.
And it's obviously daytime, a little grainy, but you can tell because this tree in the forefront is slightly more in focus.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just hadn't adjusted the focus to it. But, like, there is no differentiating between, like, the face and the body.
It's all like a mass.
It's like it's all covered in hair. It's covered in the same thing. That is all. Wow.
It's large, like a large barreled chest.
Yeah, it looks almost like it's got a beer belly.
Beer belly.
Almost.
Maybe it does vodka belly.
It could be.
Could be.
Yeah, that
looks like a freaking Bigfoot or a Yeti, if you will.
That's wild.
Photo 17 is also called the Yeti photograph. The photo is black and white and looking into the trees. There's snow everywhere, and coming from out next to a tree is a mass of a stooped figure peering around.
This brought me up on Reddit.
What's it say?
People are just saying it could be someone coming back from a bathroom break. People are like, it could be.
I mean, well, but then it is reported that based on those tree lines, that would put the figure at over 7 feet tall.
Just crazy.
So the Mansi people say that is a Yeti.
I mean, I'm reading this and a lot of people are like, oh, it's a Soviet soldier coming to finish them off. It's this. Look at the ski lines. And I'm like, because there are ski lines doesn't mean that that's not a Yeti. Like, what does a ski line have to do with, like, it looks like it's downhill. Like, that person taking the photo is downhill from that being. So, like, that doesn't make sense to me.
They could have, like, hightailed it out of there and it looked like.
Well, yeah, that's but, like, the person saying that it's like to me, again, we all know this.
We don't know what it is, but we don't know what it is. We could say this, that, and the other thing, but we don't know. It's called the Yeti photograph.
Yeah, and we know that I, again, am, gullible as fuck, but I don't know. It's
a pretty cool picture.
Considering that is my job, is to look at pictures, I could see a million reasons. Like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. It could be anything but what that is, but I am not an expert.
So, we are going to leave you at that. Leave you with the Yeti cliffhanger. Cliff.
I mean, we'll post this picture on our Instagram, but, like, definitely Google it. That is wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so given what we know about the Mansi people saying putting warnings out,
all the things
that we know about what happens, and the Yeti photo. Next episode, we're going to go into, there's a bunch of different theories. We're going to go into conspiracy theories.
Okay.
We're going to go into, like, more Yeti theories. It's not just one or the other. It could be a combination.
Multiple things?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, damn, you guys.
Yeah, so you come back next week or in 2 weeks, depending on how we air this. I don't know.
Probably next week.
Probably
it'll be back to back.
Back to back?
Yeah.
And come hear some of the theories on, was this a Yeti attack? Was this a government conspiracy? Was it both?
Dun, dun, dun. I guess we'll know.
Yeah.
In a little while.
Yeah. A little bit.
We won't know.
I don't know. Maybe we're going to have to just make up our own minds, like with everything else.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
That's what we're good at.
Well, if you have a Yeti story, email us at lunaticsoupodcast@gmail.com.
I really hope you have one.
I really do. I want somebody to have a Yeti story, Bigfoot story,
Me too.
a Manx story, a Yowie story.
I don't know that I want to mink. It sounds like they're scarier than a Bigfoot.
They're supposed to be a little more
aggressive. Yee. But you know where to find us at the, socials, Lunatic Soup Podcast.
on all the things.
All the things.
Coming up on July 22nd?
No.
20th.
Yep.
20th.
There she is.
We're going to be at the Tacoma Haunted Farmers Market. Come see us there.
And tell us your stories. And make sure you get a lunatic soup in your hand.
And remember, in this crazy world,
It's good to be a lunatic.
bye.
Bye.